I haven't seen the movie Charlie Says. I have seen some excerpts from it, and I kind of have an idea of the approach that was taken. And it's an interesting approach because there was something very odd about the so-called Manson murders. And that is the high level of female involvement in these crimes. Okay, although the major murderer, the person who did the death blows in most and possibly all of the victims, was Charles Tex Watson, a young man at the time, in 1969 when these crimes were committed. But he was assisted at the Tate residence with Linda Kasabian, Susan Atkins, and Patricia Krenwinkel. Linda Kasabian, of course, became the prosecutor's star witness and served no time. And then at the La Bianca house, Tex Watson was assisted by Patricia Krenwinkel and Leslie Van Houten. Now, although they may not have delivered the death blows, their role in the murder should not be understated. Susan Atkins at the Tate house gathered 3 people and brought them into the room: Jay Sebring, Sharon Tate, and Abigail Folger, by threatening them with a knife. Okay, 8.5 months pregnant Sharon Tate made an attempt to escape, and she was easily caught by Susan Atkins, and Patricia Krenwinkel. And Susan Atkins guarded her, threatening her with a knife. Patricia Krenwinkel stabbed Abigail Folger repeatedly, and she had over 20 stab wounds. The last couple of them may have been done by Watson, but most of them were done by Patricia Krenwinkel. And Patricia Krenwinkel later said she was on top of that woman stabbing her, and she said, "I'm already dead." Then at the La Bianca house, after Manson tied both victims up, Watson was in the living room murdering Lino LaBianca, and Leslie Van Houten and Patricia Krenwinkel went into the bedroom where Rosemary LaBianca was tied up. I believe that Van Houten put a pillowcase over the woman's head, and she held her down while Patricia Krenwinkel tried to stab her. The knife was not very strong, and it bent against Rosemary LaBianca's collarbone. So Krenwinkel got help from Tex, or rather, I think it was Van Houten got help from Tex, and then all 3 of them stabbed this woman. She had more than 40 stab wounds. Okay, with that out of the way, Charlie Says does take a kind of interesting approach, because another oddity about the Manson murders was not only the high level of female involvement, but the fact that these women who were supposedly so fanatically dedicated to Charles Manson, had been in a group that really preached very strongly female subordination. Susan Atkins, in her grand jury testimony, she was asked, "What was it about Charlie that made you and all these other women, fall in love with him and do anything he wanted you to?" She replied, "Charlie is the only man I've ever met who is a complete man. He won't take any back talk from a woman. He won't allow a woman to talk him into doing anything. He is a man." And Helter Skelter, Vince Bugliosi quotes some informants as saying that Charlie used to preach that women had only 2 purposes in life, and that was to bear children and serve men. And Watson's memoirs, he recounts how a lot of Charlie's preaching was about the place of the female. Women caused the wars. Women built the prisons. Women upset the natural order of things because they would not accept their natural role as slaves to men. Okay, now, so it was kind of, this whole thing was kind of ripe for a kind of feminist look at it. And indeed, Charlie Says is based on the work of Carleen Faith, who actually did a women's studies class with the so-called Manson girls, Atkins, Krenwinkel, and Van Houten. And